this is UFC President Dana White, and you're listening to the Cheap Pop Radio.
It don't much matter if it's left or right, you just mean it. There ain't no retreat. We'll beat each other up with what we know. Keep our heads down, let them get some more. We don't need it. Let them keep feeding. Now we're picking our friends up, wondering when the well went dry, asking where it all went. Take a step back and look at the top. They're making band-aids and bullets, band-aids and bullets, band-aids and bullets, band-aids and bullets.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Cheap Pops Radio, coming at you live from the studio apartment in Tomball, Texas, across the street from Molly's Pub and Cheers in Tomball. We had a couple pregame drinks before we interview our special guest, Cerise Castle, who's actually an investigative reporter in L.A., who specializes in the LASD gangs. The gangs that were, the Shield TV show was based from. And basically the bad cops.
Yeah.
That's our specialization is bad cops.
Yeah, we got a lot of questions for her.
And she's had some run-ins with, that sheriff over there, Sheriff Villanueva, who's always a dick. Like, the interviews I've seen from him, he's always a dick.
He's a dick, and not only that, and I'm sure she'll bring this up later, but just not like a couple of weeks ago, before these last two mass shootings we have like one every other day in America. But the before the last two prominent mass shootings we had, Villanueva went off personally on a reporter for reporting the facts about his department.
And I think the police shootings,
like
they're not directly tied into like bad cops, but I think they're the result of bad cops.
You know what it is?
Because if you've got when I was coming up, a cop was like a hero.
Well, because we were taught that.
We were taught that, but it's not that way in reality.
No.
These guys know they can go into a school.
Well, here it is, dude. It's a culture thing. It's a culture within these police departments. And this is just my opinion. I'm sure she has way more expertise on this, but this is just me as a armchair quarterback here. There is a culture and a rampant corruption in these major police, especially the small ones, but in the major police departments, because the unions have so much power. They protect the bad cops.
Because I believe cops, there was actually a law where they had immunity.
Yet they still do. It's qualified immunity.
And which is wrong, because the minute that you tell someone you can't get in trouble for doing this, What's the first thing they're going to do?
And they have a stupid thing called civil asset forfeiture. So if you get pulled over,
I remember that.
yeah, you get pulled over with 10 G's in your car for whatever reason, they can say, I suspect that you're a drug mule, and we're taking your car, we're taking your money, and you can't get it back.
I remember when that was actually passed. That was a really big deal.
Horrible.
I want to say that was passed in LA first.
And police can legally lie to you. So if you are being interrogated for anything, number one, don't do it. Number two, get a lawyer. And number three, they will lie to you and not be in trouble because they're trying to bait you.
I think that's where a lot of these people go wrong. Because a lot of these people, they get kind of... And some of them are general criminals. We're not going to blanket it.
Yeah.
But there are some that get caught in it. They might not have the money for a lawyer. And they're just hoping, well, I'm going to tell them the truth and they'll leave me alone.
And a lot of people, it's just true. A lot of people are ignorant to their rights. And then a lot of people are just so frazzled and nervous that they don't know what to do. So they're flustered.
Nerves are a problem, too.
Yeah. It's true. It's true, though. I mean, that's the thing. Is like you said before, when we were kids, and you know what I think it is? When we were kids, we were brought up to the police are good, they do everything right, they're our heroes.
Right.
But as we got older and we saw like more movies like just coming out about like corrupt cops, but then the internet changed everything. The shield and smartphones. Rodney King was the powder keg. That's what hit it all off. But now we have these in our pockets.
Got a phone.
Everybody has a camcorder.
I want to say it was Will Smith that says racism has always existed. It's just now everyone has video.
Yeah,
everyone has a device.
It's true.
Right. And that's what I was going to say. Is it's so appalling for us now, but. Think about so many people that you and I know, that all of us know, who will just say, why are you so surprised? This has always existed. Well, I've only had, dude, I grew up in the burbs in Conroe.
Conroe's rough, brother.
But I grew up on the wrong side of Conroe. I grew up the right color in Conroe, so I never experienced it. Right.
Hey, and for the people that are listening that are from different areas other than Texas, like Conroe is kind of outside of Houston and kind of one of the poorer areas, so to speak.
Parts of it, yeah.
It's kind of, I guess you would call it kind of the white ghetto.
Right.
Like Willis, all that stuff, yeah. That's the thing. It's crazy to me, like, how much our law enforcement is, especially like where Jerry comes from. It's a good old boys network. It's a good old boys system.
Yeah.
And it's corrupt. It's crazy. You see these like stories about small towns being disbanded. In my opinion, they need to disband the Uvalde Police Department. Just disband it. Yeah, and they need to just let the county take over for the moment and just restart it from the ground up.
Because I want to say that dude was in that room for how long? Was it
77 minutes.
77 minutes.
77 minutes.
That's so embarrassing.
That's disgusting.
He was in there with kids.
Yep. And you know the thing that really gets me mad about that is we heard 5 different stories like in 3 days from law enforcement. They can't say fake news on this one. You know how people love to say fake news and the media lies? The police lied to us because they told us different stories. They told us he engaged with an officer as soon as he got out of the truck. Then he engaged with 2 officers and shot both of them. And then it's just a story after a story.
And I understand it. I want to say this because you don't want to be one-sided.
True.
I understand why the cops would be reserved. You've got an active shooter.
Well, yes, exactly.
But they were dealing with it like it was an active shooter at a mall.
Here's the problem.
You can't do that in an elementary school.
Here's the problem, though. We learned that lesson from Columbine in 1999.
Agreed.
They sat outside and waited while those guys were parading. They even went up to the second story in the library and blasted people. Meanwhile, the police were just sitting out in the parking lot. And you would think that we learned our lessons from that. And then you go back to Parkland in 2017 and with the school resource officer. This is my problem with saying have good God bless you. This is my problem.
Sorry.
It's all good, man. It happens. But no, this is my problem with the whole good guy. Give the good guys the guns. Well, the good guys had the guns in Parkland, and what did the school resource officer do? He didn't engage. He hid behind a pillar and told the other officers, hold off, stay back. Stay back, and here we are in 2022, and the same thing is happening.
Well, I thought it's a problem that's not just kind of regulated to the police department.
Yeah.
You've seen it in the Army or in the military, like Fort Hood, Jeb America, Jerry Futch. He was in the military for a long time. I'm sure he's got a lot of good stories about the military.
So it didn't start at Fort Hood. Fort Hood was later on in my career, but so when I was in Korea, now I was up north in kind of a little city called Uijeongbu, not too far from the North Korean border, but a little bit closer. We had an infantry post, a huge kind of party infantry post called Camp Casey. And Camp Casey had so many of that. There was this one gang called La Gente, which I think that's the giant.
No, the people.
Yeah, the people. Yep. I was just guessing.
Yeah.
Totally. But you had La Gente. You had so many of the same gang, and I had no clue what it was. I just thought everybody thought it was a cool hat. But there were shops that had La Gente merch for soldiers, and those areas were run by gangsters. There was a gang called the KTA. It was the Korean Mafia. It was called the KTA, and the KTA ran all of these hooker bars and these little shopping places for soldiers to go into. So everywhere that soldiers went into, it was controlled by a gang, and then on post you had gangs kind of fighting for clout.
That's crazy.
And recruiting within the military. And then when you get back to...
And the cops leave them all alone.
Well, MP. I mean, they're in the MP.
They're in the MPs.
They're in everything. Yeah. And the MP don't care as long as you keep it off post for the most part.
That's what I was going to ask you. So we know with the LASD, there's been some crimes that have been exposed, like murders and things like that. With La Gente and these other gangs, were there anything major that happened while you were there that was exposed, like any murders?
There were so many fights that it was. There were so many fights, and I mean, you don't become a soldier because you made good decisions. Yeah.
I totally feel you on that.
There were already a lot of people like doing pills and getting in fights, and there were already hookers there.
I think the problem is the world is so jaded.
It is.
The world is so jaded.
It is.
And there's so many people, especially nowadays, that go through so much.
Yeah.
Not just from a career standpoint, but from a life standpoint.
Yeah.
Like you see this cop and his wife just left him. She's cheating with the guy at the donut shop.
That's what it is.
And so he pulls over a young kid somewhere, and he's already pissed off because his wife's fucking the donut guy.
Yeah.
And so what does he do to that kid?
Yeah, it's true. And this, like you said, the world's jaded. I think what it is people see how it really is when they get older and they start realizing how the world works, and you kind of get cynical. Like I admit it, I'm pretty cynical now.
I get that way
I'm
too.
fucking
It's
cynical.
hard not to.
I'm cynical as hell now. And you know what started it for me? Like I used to be pro police and pro America, I'm conservative, I am red, white, and blue. I mean, I was just all with it. And I admit it, I voted for George Bush when I was 20 years old. I didn't know any better. That's how I was brought up.
I did too.
No, I did. But then here's what set me off to. This is what I'm trying to get to. This was like the baby steps to know how the world really works. So 9/11 happens. You're like, holy shit, we've never seen anything like that. Freaked us all out.
Crazy.
But then Iraq War happens, and they got weapons, guys. They're gonna blow us all up, and if we don't get those weapons out of there, and I was like, holy shit, I don't want to go through another crazy attack. Hell yeah, they got weapons in there. Let's get them out. And then 6 months passes, and I'm like, where are those weapons they were talking about? And then a year passes. Where are those weapons they were talking about? And then you see more Iraqis getting blown to bits. You see thousands of soldiers getting killed. And that's kind of what set me off to realize I've been lied to. I get lied to. And then you realize the police aren't all that great. There's some good officers out there probably, but they're far and few between because of the culture of the police departments and the culture of the military and our government.
I do my best to be an optimist.
Yeah.
I believe America is good. I believe America is great. I believe the cops, for the most part, are good. But I also believe that you've got a lot of people, because they're to be a cop, they check your credit. But other than that, they don't require much in the form of education.
Education and psychological issues too. There's some pretty crazy tyrants.
If you look at the people that become cops, a lot of those guys are like I'm going to bring that up in our interview with Cerise.
Yeah.
But like a lot of those guys, like Sheriff Villanueva is an example.
Yeah.
He's kind of like a little Napoleon. He got picked on, and now all of a sudden he's a sheriff in fucking L.A. He can do what the fuck he wants pretty much. Who's going to stop him?
And it's a symptom of our culture overall.
Exactly. It's an American problem.
It is. It is because
you don't see mass shootings in most places.
You don't.
It's an American problem.
Okay, so this is... Here, I'm about to say something that's going to probably get a lot of our listeners mad. And I don't care because it's my opinion. You can have yours. But people say... like, you bring that up. Well, mass shootings only happen here, especially at schools with little babies getting murdered.
You don't see that anywhere.
That's disgusting. And then people are like, well, they need to arm the teachers. They need to they need to have police. And I'm like, no, the fact that you have to do that here is awful.
Well, see,
and then
my thing is they don't even trust the teachers to pick the books that they use.
That's what I'm saying. They say all the teachers are woke. All the teachers are perverts and they're grooming kids and they're woke. So you want to give those freaks guns? I thought you were railing against them. And then on top of that, here's another issue I have. And don't get me wrong, dude. I'm not hating on anybody's spiritual beliefs, but a lot of people are like, well, the problem is they don't have God in schools. They don't have God. People aren't. And my thing is, Japan is the most secular nation in the country. And then after that, you got almost all of Europe that's pretty much moving towards atheism and secularism. And not having Christianity or any kind of... Well, you got Muslims coming in there that are immigrating.
Well, Muslims are a bit different.
But what I'm saying, though, is you have secular countries that don't have anything to do with God. And America is the most religious Western nation. There's a church every 5 blocks from each other in this country. And it's not the fact that there's God. It's a culture problem. It's not a God thing. And because look at these other countries. They don't have all this... praying every 5 minutes for everything, and it's just like quit. The problem is there's something going on, and I can't put my thumb on it all the way because I don't have all the answers.
It'll be 20, 30, 50 years maybe before we
figure it out. Good point.
And ladies and gentlemen, on that note, we're going to take a break, and we're going to come right back with Cerise Castle on Cheap Pops Radio, sponsored by JMT Shirts, Cartoon U, and Loko Wrasslin. Shout out to Jaime Martinez.
This is your favorite artist, Ryan Shaw with Cartoon U. Check out my website, cartoon-u.com, your place for custom art, fan art, wrestling art, and logo designs. Use promo code CHEAPPOPS19 for a 15% off your order. And give me a follow on Instagram at Cartoon Ryan.
I look the other way. I don't see how it's got anything to do with me. Oh, hurry, I need my beat. At any expense, it doesn't make sense, but every cell in my body eats its protein. Oh, grass is only Come on, perform better, climb higher, educate away. I am all my degrees, my masters. Hey, look at me, I am somebody. It's what I've learned at carbon dioxide. My conclusion is that it's all a lie. Our guns are mine, we're not smart, we will survive. We've got technology, it's not alive, we will survive. The seas are thriving, we will get back, it's not a lie.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Cheap Pops Radio. This is Thomas, the Hitman Barnes, Ryan Shaw, Jerry Futch, and we've got a special guest tonight. We've got from LA, special investigative reporter and journalist, Cerise Castle. Welcome to Cheap Pops Radio, Cerise.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
And the one thing, I actually, we were talking off the air, I found you on Twitter. And you see nowadays with the internet, you see a lot of people who try to be influencers or they try to, chase for clout. But with your work, like the Knock LA website, with all the stuff with, the LASD gangs, you spend a lot of time and a lot of dedication into going through and researching it and calling it out as it is. Tell us how you kind of got into journalism.
Oh, yeah. So I got into journalism initially when I was probably 14. And that was the product of a trip that I took to New York with my school. When I was in 8th grade, we visited Rockefeller Center, and I had an interaction with Ann Curry, who was hosting Good Morning America at the time, where she encouraged me to go into journalism. And after that interaction, I went home and joined the school newspaper, and I have been reporting ever since.
So tell us kind of because you see a lot of the stuff CNN, you see Fox News, and the way news works now is everything's kind of one-sided. So but I noticed that when you report it, you're mostly fact-based. You're not about the left, you're not really about the right. You're kind of let's just get down to the meats and the potatoes and figure out what's going on. So what were your influences and what kind of made you report the way that you report?
Well, I've always been taught that, it's the reporter's duty to deliver the truth and the facts, free of agenda. And I think by doing that, you tell a lot of stories just by doing that. There's a lot of devil in details, and I think
you're right.
The best stories are the product of that. Yeah.
So tell us how you got into because the Los Angeles the police department, and that's been ripe with corruption. And I think America and I think the world has been kind of blind to police corruption for a long time. And it's just now within the last couple of years that people have really stopped and taken a notice. And you've got the protests. And, you've got the people, speaking out saying this is not right. What kind of led you to, seeking out the cop gangs in LA?
Oh, wow. So I grew up here in the Los Angeles area, and I've heard about deputy gangs from the time I can remember forming memories. up until, I mean, I hear about them today, like probably once a day, at the minimum. And I think that's very much like the truth of this story. It's deputy gangs have been common knowledge in poor Black and Brown communities here in the Los Angeles area for the past 50 years. It's just sort of a knowledge that has been passed down from generation to generation, through word of mouth and through experiences, that, you know, legacy media, for the most part, has neglected, for a lot of the reasons that you were kind of getting at in your earlier question, when you were alluding to the fact that a lot of media is one-sided and speaks to its own self-interest.
Yeah, and that's actually that's a major problem. Like, you've got these people that they're doing all these bad things, and it's just the media turns a blind eye to some of it because it doesn't fit
The narrative.
their theory or their narrative. And that's why I liked your work, because in your work, you're not speaking about a narrative. You're speaking about these dudes that do bad things, and you've got facts and you've got evidence, and the way you present it. You know what I mean? Like, you present it right. There's not any kind of distinction or in the middle. Like, this is all fact.
Thank you. That was definitely my intention. And like I said earlier, I think the stories, I think the truth is a lot more damning and stranger than fiction. And you can tell a lot of these stories, you know, free of agenda, just by looking at the facts and what's there. The truth of the matter is that people on both sides of the political spectrum are engaged in all sorts of corruption, and there is no shortage of things to investigate.
So when you start talking about, you know the LAPD gangs, or the LASD, I guess you would say, like, you've got the Los Bandidos, the Compton Executioners. I believe there was the Regulators too, correct?
Yes, there are at least 20 gangs that I know of that are active or have members in the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department.
It's like when reading your website, and like, there's like murders, and they beat up. There was actually, I remember reading, like, one of the things I took away from it was there was actually like a gang of LA cops fighting another group of LA cops in a parking lot. I think it was a restaurant.
Yes, that's actually happened twice that we know of. There are 2 incidents where members of deputy gangs actually beat up other sheriff personnel who were not members. Yes, that's happened on 2 occasions that we know of. And I recently reported on an incident where a group of deputy gang members took a member of their gang out on a quote-unquote camping trip out to the desert and shot the deputy gang tattoo off of his leg because he had made an unauthorized so-called change to this tattoo without their permission. And I reported on that, and I posted the photo of that injury if any of your listeners are so inclined to look at that image. But yeah, this stuff happens all the time out here.
And that's crazy, because you think that when it gets to a point where cops are fighting other cops, that someone would step up and say, hey, this is crazy, like, how do we fix this? But this has been going on, like you said, for, I think what you said, 50 years.
At least 50 years.
And I kind of understand, like, the reasoning, because, in California, they've got a lot of the street gangs. And so I kind of could understand how a cop would say, well, they've got gangs, so we need gangs. But there's also, like, you've got one part in your website that I remember called working in the gray area. And I don't believe that you can actually work in a gray area if you're a cop. No matter what, you're a cop. It's your job to kind of uphold the law. And the world has kind of turned a blind eye to bad cops for a long time.
It's supposed to be that way.
Yeah, and it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, you've got these cops beating on other cops, shooting other cops. Like, it just keeps going on.
Yeah, it unfortunately does keep going on, and the people that do this stuff and participate in this stuff unfortunately are promoted and rewarded for that behavior, and then they teach it to a whole new generation of people coming in, and the cycle continues.
I have a question for you. In your observations, studying all this and researching it, has the problem gotten any better in LA with the sheriff's department, or has it gotten worse, or is it about the same?
It's gotten worse. Our sheriff continues to promote people that participate in this while saying that the reporters that do this work are making it up. He recently announced an investigation into another local journalist. He's threatened to post my address. He's threatened me repeatedly. Members of his department have threatened my life. And yeah, there's really no one that you can go to for help because it's the police that are doing it to you.
And correct me if I'm wrong, is that Villanueva?
Yes.
Yeah, I did see that where he basically threatened another journalist at a press conference. He put her name up. Am I correct? Like at a
Yes.
Yeah, he said that she was one of the ones he was going to investigate just for posting a story about him.
And that's what's crazy, because journalism is like protected in the U.S. Constitution. Like, reporters are supposed to say, like, I remember it was JFK actually that made this whole big speech about how, there was, I guess a new world order, but that we needed to protect the journalists. And, here you are, and you're threatening to get doxxed. Like, what were your feelings during that? Like, were you actually scared? Were you like, well, I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and they're going to do what they're going to do? Like, how did that process work?
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely scared. I've since had to hire a bodyguard. I have had to move. I completely changed how I do my job and, how I can't really disclose too many details.
That's totally
further
understood.
compromise the security, but it's definitely changed, how I do my job, how I travel, and how I move about in the world, and made me a lot more bold.
I would ask you, have you researched other areas outside of LA with the gang problem within police forces, or have you just strictly?
Yeah.
Okay.
So a mentee of mine, Ben Camacho, he recently exposed a police gang in the Santa Ana area, which I'm super proud of. I've heard from law enforcement officers, actually, different cops from around the United States, who have reached out to me asking for me to investigate their departments, because they say to me, Cerise, I have guys here at my station that share tattoos and have secret meetings and all kinds of things going on, and they target people of color. They make celebrations out of killing people, and I think it's a gang. It's not unique to LA County.
Gotcha. And on that note, we're going to take a quick break right here on Cheap Pops Radio, sponsored by JMT Shirts, Cartoon U, and Loko Wrasslin.
It's your boy $20 Man, repping Jamie Martinez's hottest merch table in the game.
Whoa. It's Jaime Martinez.
Hey, shut up, Thomas Bond. Let $20 Man do this commercial the right way. Look, hottest merch table got the largest inventory of shirts in WWF, ECW, WCW, Mexico, and even Japan. Give them a follow on Instagram at hottest merch table in the game. Or on Facebook, just plain old Jamie Martinez.
What a shirt! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Cheap Pops Radio. This is Thomas, the Hitman Barnes with Cherry Flitch, Ryan Shaw, our special guest, investigative reporter, Cerise Castle. And Cerise, let's talk about, some more about the LASD gangs. Who do you feel is the worst of those gangs?
Well, when you're talking about, there are different ways to categorize that. So, most expensive gang that has cost the taxpayers the most money is the Banditos, with just over 30 million
Jesus.
in total lawsuits. Deadliest gang, to my knowledge, is the Spartans. They are responsible for the deaths of at least 7 people.
Jesus
Um,
Christ.
so it really depends on how you want to categorize it.
This is horrible.
So when you look at everything, I remember there were a lot of rumors that, you know, the police in Los Angeles kind of had something to do with, like, Tupac and Biggie. Is there any truth to that story?
I would say probably. That specifically has to do with the crash unit of the Los Angeles Police Department. The LAPD is responsible for patrolling the city of Los Angeles. And in 1997, it came out that members of this crash unit, which stood for, oh man, something ludicrous, but SH stood for street hoodlums. And it was the gang unit, which sort of tells you their attitude about the general public. And they were essentially committing armed robberies of banks, laundering money, committing murders for hire, that sort of thing. And it all came out when a member of the crash unit shot and killed an LAPD officer.
And that crash unit actually ended up inspiring a television show on FX called The Shield. I don't know if you
One
ever...
of my favorite shows.
I love that show. Like, the way they portrayed, like, Vic Mackey and the boys, like, you wanted to root for them, but they were bad guys. And I think that's one of the very first shows in history where they really based it on anti-heroes. But it's kind of crazy because the stuff they did was so bad. But it was based on real life, which is nuts to me.
Oh yeah, that stuff happens all the time, and it wasn't just the crash unit doing that kind of stuff. That stuff did not die out with the crash unit either.
You know, I'm very interested in a lot of police corruption myself, but I don't investigate it like you do. But I've seen a lot of stories about Baltimore having a super corrupt police department.
Oh yeah,
And like even they didn't even shut off their body cameras when they were robbing people. I don't know if you knew about that stuff, but it was rough. They were killing and robbing
Definitely.
people like left and right. I just didn't know if you knew anything about that. If there's any gangs out there.
That's so overt.
Yeah.
That's so fearless.
yeah. I've followed that reporting. I think the reporter's name is Justin Benton. I think of the Baltimore Sun on the Baltimore Gun Trace Task Force. Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible reporting, and it inspired the HBO show We Own This City, which I recommend to anyone that is interested in this stuff. And yeah, you see that blatant behavior in corrupt police forces across the United States. Here in Los Angeles County, I recently reported about an incident where a deputy incited a large-scale brawl between incarcerated people and deputies, and resulting in him kneeling on the neck of a incarcerated man for over 4 minutes.
I believe I
And that was
saw
all
that.
captured on camera.
I believe I saw that on your Instagram feed. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you
Yeah.
posted that whole video.
That's horrible.
I did.
Well, the thing that struck me, just like I just couldn't believe with the Baltimore situation, was they were on their body cameras planting evidence in people's cars, robbing people. I just could not. I guess when you get away with stuff for so long, you think you're invincible, but it finally came out, and there was nothing they could do to hide it anymore.
Yeah, I hope that similar action is taken here. I believe in Baltimore, the feds stepped in and came in and cleaned house. That happened once in LA County in 2012 as a result of an investigation into the jails. They left a lot of dirt when that happened, and there's a lot more cleaning that needs to be done.
And you know, I'll be honest, I remember my actual the very first time I was exposed to police brutality, and I'm kind of dating myself for my age, but like because you know, when you're a kid, they teach you cops are good. But I remember being maybe 10 or 11 and seeing like Rodney King just getting the crap kicked out of him on like TV. And you're like, cops are not supposed to do this. But they've been doing it, and the world's just kind of been like, well, they're cops. But these last couple of years since, you know, George Floyd happened, you know, a lot of people, you know, they're looking into it. The world has cameras. Everyone has a cell phone. When they see something wrong, they take the videos. And so you're starting to see a lot of police being held accountable.
Yeah. And I hope that, you know, public sentiment continues to be open to the truth, which is that police lie. They lie often. And we should not take anything they say at face value. I think a really horrific example of that is what is playing out down in Uvalde, Texas, and the consistent reporting, or not inconsistent reporting, but the inconsistent statements from local police around what happened, and that it was eventually revealed that the police stood outside of the school for over an hour and prevented parents from saving their kids and did nothing to stop this massacre.
That's a great point, because usually they blame the media for any kind of story that isn't told the way they want it to. But there were 5 stories in maybe 3 days that came out of the police department, the Texas Department of Public Safety. It was just a mess. It's amazing. Basically, cops can get away with lying legally. I mean, it's already known. You know, they can lie to you, and it's legal. I think we're at an age where, like Thomas mentioned before, technology is so instantaneous now in communications. We can see things in real time just about nowadays, and I think that's starting to not change things, but it's making more people aware of what's going on, or what has been going on.
I think the craziest thing about that situation is the cops are yelling at the parents trying to get inside to save their kids.
It's horrible.
But instead of yelling at those parents, you could have went in to save your kids. I mean, that's your job.
Yep.
Yeah, at very least, get out of my way. I'll choke you out. I mean, if it comes down to my kid, I'll completely choke you out. But they had the one parent handcuffed, and then she got out and climbed the fence like she
went in to get her kid.
Yeah,
and there's the police are standing outside. It's just a disaster.
But they were holding folks back. Like, at least just get out of the way.
Yep.
And so Cerise, kind of going back into the the LASD gangs. Tell us how long it took you to to form, because you've got 15 parts in your database. Like, how much work was that for you?
Oh man, it was like 20-hour days for 6 months.
Oh. And it's so detailed. That's what I love about it, because, the detail. Because you see a lot of people, like we mentioned earlier, with modern day social media, they're just chasing clout. They say things, but there's no detail. Your stuff is all detailed. It's down by dates. You've got names. You've got names of victims. And it's just, to me, it was amazing reading it. Because you see that kind of stuff on TV all the time, but you don't really see on the news about the stuff that happens in real life.
Yeah, it was really important for me to include details like that, as well as original documents where I was drawing my conclusions from, so people would, one, feel empowered with this information, and hopefully, two, learn from it and help them, navigate situations that they're facing in their own lives, or, three, feel empowered to start their own investigations and, look into their own local police forces, which I've had a number of people reach out to me, and that I've assisted with, teaching how to do public records act requests, that sort of thing.
Now, have you ever had to come face-to-face or maybe phone-to-phone with Sheriff Villanueva yourself?
Oh, yes. I've asked him a couple of questions at press conferences, and that's resulted in him, being friendly and only disparaging me lightly for, 15 minutes, maybe even an hour on a radio show, or even sending deputies after me to attempt to arrest me. So it really just depends on his mood.
And when you look at him and when you watch him talk, he seems like one of those dudes, kind of like, I guess you would say like a Napoleon. You know what I mean? Like he probably, in high school or maybe middle school, maybe he was that kid that got picked on. And then he grew up and now he's got this power. And I could be wrong, I've never met him, so I don't want to say it. But it seems to me on the outside looking in that he's kind of like this little Napoleon. Oh, you said something bad about me. Like, this is what's going to happen to you now.
You're spot on. There are many deputies that knew him when he was a young guy working at East LA. Most of these guys don't go to college, so like college age, like 19, 20. And they all made fun of him. They called him a nerd. They called him a loser. And he personified all of the things that you were describing according to these guys that knew him at that point in his life.
So now when he disparaged you, like, how did that make you feel on the inside? Like, just kind of give us, like, I know it's hard to tell your exact details, where you are, who you are, and this and that. But just tell us the feeling. Because we're all humans and we all have a feeling. And when someone's, especially in that kind of position of authority, like, where did that get you? Where did it hit you?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, it's what I've come to expect. And I don't think that this is the type of behavior that we should expect from our elected officials. It really saddens me that we are at a point in history where this behavior is just sort of regular every day for an elected official in LA County, and he's allowed to get away with it. That it's not that he's not held to an account, at least by my media peers, at the very least, since there is no real authority above him. But
right.
Yeah, I would like to see. The anger isn't really so much at him because it's what I've come to expect from this person. It's more so at my industry colleagues who have frankly not taken up the way I feel that they should have.
What do you think the public sentiment is with him overall, with the way he's conducted himself? Do you think what are his chances politically? Do you think he continues to remain in that position, or is there a chance of him getting?
Definitely not.
Okay.
We have a primary in 10 days,
Okay.
and I think he will be. Personally, I don't think he will make it to the runoff.
Good.
And so another question. So you said he sent people after you. Did that take place in the form of like getting pulled over for something stupid? Like, did they show up at your house and try to kind of strong arm you? Like, how did that kind of play out? If you're allowed to.
It was
say
at a
that.
press conference, and it was actually filmed. It's on my Instagram. Some deputies approached me, told me I was a fake reporter, and attempted to detain me.
Wow.
And it was really thanks to a colleague who yelled out in my defense for them to let me go. And they did. And I was able to continue covering the press conference that I had been invited to attend.
That's so crazy. It's
Horrible.
So crazy.
Horrible.
And journalism is such a wicked thing. It's kind of like comedians nowadays. It's like before, back in the time, like when I was growing up and I was a kid, a comedian made jokes. You left him alone. He's a comedian. A journalist, he makes news. He writes about news. You leave them alone. But the way the world has kind of evolved is there's so many people with so many hands, and there's so many chiefs that are kind of trying to control the information and control the sensitivity of the world, that you're seeing a lot of those old school jobs that are really important, that are kind of, like you said, just kind of being kind of focused on. kind of being pushed and pressed so that you say what they feel you should say.
Yeah. 100%.
Well, Thomas brings up a good point, because journalism is the cornerstone of democracy. Once we lose that, that's pretty much it, in my opinion, because once you, it's a strong arm attempt to control the narrative and to control the information, and it seems like that's been a strong push by a certain, I guess you'd say, pro-law and order faction of the country. And I use that term loosely, but it just seems, like you said, fake reporter. Where else do you hear that? Fake news, fake reporter. It's really disheartening to hear that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it is. It's a scary time in LA County.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And so before we let you go, why don't you go ahead and tell all our fans where they can find you on social media?
Yeah, definitely. You can follow me on Instagram. I'm at Your Majesty, and I'm on Twitter at Cerise Castle. You can read all of my reporting on the sheriff's gangs at lasdgangs.com. And you can look forward to my podcast on deputy gangs called Tradition of Violence, due out in October.
Awesome, that's cool. I did not know that. I look forward to that because your stuff is so amazing. Like I said earlier, and I'm not trying to cater, but the way you do it is so good. It's so refreshing because it's just honest reporting.
Well, and it's extensive. I mean, you have all the different parts of of everything going on. It's super extensive, and it lays it all out for you.
And so,
well, thank you so much, and thank you for reading it.
And thank you for the work that you do. It's super important.
You have to have people like you in order for democracy, for the world to actually run the way it's supposed to. You can't just have a bunch of yes men. And I think that's what's happening in Russia right now, to be honest with you.
Yep.
Agreed.
So we appreciate you having you on the show, and well, we hope to hear from you again, maybe when your podcast comes out, if you have some spare time. And we thank you for your time.
Most definitely. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we'll be right back here on Cheap Pops Radio, sponsored by JMT Shirts, Cartoon U, and Loko Wrasslin.
Always I remember your bad dress.
ladies and gentlemen, we're back here on Cheap Pops Radio. Special guest, Cerise Castle. We want to thank her for coming on.
Yes.
She's a more different kind of guest than our usual.
Mm-hmm.
We do a lot of comedy, we do a lot of sports, we got rappers, we got different people, but she's an investigative reporter. Our very first one, Knock LA. We hope that our listeners will go and read that because it's so informative. And, and the way that she reports is old school reporting. It's not bullshit. It's not, well, I believe this, and so I'm going to say this. She's old school. She gives you the facts, and she tells you what you want to know.
She gives you the facts, and like I said earlier in the interview, it's extensive.
Exactly.
So you got to read part after part.
It's really hard to say you're full of shit when you got that much
Well,
proof.
she backs it all up, and then it's like people can say whatever, fake this and fake that, but she worked 20-hour days to, get this reporting done. It's just
No, she's a beast. Like she's so impressive. So guys, I have so during this whole thing, I've been coming up with my list. I don't know if you do
like
lists.
Chris Jericho's list?
Oh, no. Better. My 5 favorite gangsters.
Ooh.
Jerry Foots, you've made the list.
All right. I'm going to tell you my list, and then I want to know who I missed. All right. So first is I don't know if you watch Futurama, but Clamps.
Yes.
I'm going to give him the Clamps.
Oh, okay.
Because he's so simple, right?
He's fictional gangsters, right?
Well, a little bit of both.
Okay, a little bit of both. Okay. I'm good with that. I'm good with that.
Yeah, so and just as a joke, honestly, everyone's baby mama. Look, everyone's baby mama,
baby
but
mama's
especially
gangsta as
mine.
fuck, bro.
Like nobody
She
gives
took me-
less of a shit.
Okay.
Nobody.
She took you to the cleaners.
Dude,
son.
extortion.
Let me tell you about my baby mama. Okay, in Texas, by law, your baby mama
I
can
know.
take you for review
Yeah.
every 2 years. So
Yeah.
guess what this chick did every 2 years?
Go
Oh
on.
no.
And then you've got my accumulated income from my regular job. Just being a simple, mild-mannered IT guy.
Yeah.
You've got the income that I got for pro wrestling.
From wrestling, yeah.
Which was coming up to about $1,000 a month back back in the day.
Yeah, that was even
Because
better back then.
I was working those good shows.
Yeah, you're doing it every weekend, right?
I was doing every weekend, like Friday, Saturday. I would get about $1,000 a month from wrestling.
Nobody has created more LLCs than baby mamas. Like I would put everything in an LLC, give myself like a $15 a month salary. But like you got to find something because that baby mama tax is hardcore.
Dude, it's rough, and you can't fight it. The state of Texas.
Yeah,
It's all for her.
We live in Texas. It's all about the baby mama. Money.
Yeah.
I bet it killed her though. Once the kiddos got
Once the
after
child,
that.
oh yeah, she
Once
hasn't
the-
been the same.
Yeah.
Once my child support was
That's
over,
life-changing,
her life
bro.
just exactly.
Uh-oh.
Because when I got done paying child support, I was paying $1,225
Hey,
a month.
the scales balanced, dog.
Okay, so let's talk about this. I have
Yeah.
2 kids.
Yep.
And Poet Renee and Madison, I love them both. Shout out, I love you so much. You're my babies.
Shout out, kids.
I love my kids. But I got 2 of them.
My honorary
Poet turned
nieces.
18 first.
Yep.
When Poet turned 18, I was paying $1,425.
Oh my God.
When she got off of my child support,
700 something.
they only it was $1,225.
Oh God.
They cut out $200 for one kid.
That's insane.
So I'm paying $1,400 for Madison.
So what you're saying is Madison's worth way more than.
That's
Florida.
what the state of Texas
So the
is
state
telling
of
me.
Texas is saying.
That's
Florida-
what the state of
All right.
Texas is
We're
telling
gonna have a
me.
roundtable discussion next podcast with those two. And
Like how much does Madison Page eat? I don't think she eats $1,225 worth.
no, probably not.
Nah.
I doubt it.
And then my ex-wife too. She got that living boyfriend that ain't have a job.
Don't
he don't
drive.
even got a driver's
Dude,
license, bro.
$20 man's higher than that guy.
Yeah, like so
That's crazy.
so basically my $1,225 was like paying for his steak dinners
And
his Taco Bell.
And it's all over. And it's all over.
But once the child support was over, that life it went downhill.
For
Like
them.
she had to move to a smaller house.
And then you went up the hill.
He had to go
Yes.
back to stripping in Splendora.
No, because he can't get a job because he has no driver's license.
Oh,
You
yeah.
have to have a driver's license or a form of ID to
What
work.
a winner.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Yes! I
Yeah, you got
know.
to strip on a bus route.
But that's what women do, though.
Off
It's
the
like-
air, I'm going to ask you some questions about that.
But you know what?
In case Poet Renee and Madison Page are listening.
You know what
got
I
some-
think it is, though? We're kind of straying. But you know what I
we're
think
straying
it
big
is?
time.
Women like to be in control. And who's easier to control than a broke dude? It's easy to control a broke
Well, yeah,
dude
he has
because
no
he ain't
choice.
got no money.
He has no choice. Yeah.
He don't have no money. He depends on you
that's
to
his,
eat.
That's his
Oh,
meal
yeah.
ticket.
Yeah.
He
That's his
depends
meal
on you to
ticket.
eat. He depends
Yeah.
on you to supply whatever,
Hey, she
party
can fix
supplies
him.
he
She
needs.
can
you know
fix
what?
him.
You know what, guys?
Yeah, these girls that turn to the Lord
Bot-
the Builder.
Bottom line is, it sounds like. Bottom line, it sounds like Baby Mama's the biggest gangster of them all. You and that's
Hey,
under the
saying,
list.
If I was a chick, I would have a baby daddy for my light bill, a baby daddy
Well,
for my house
That's a
payment.
sugar daddy.
Yeah, well, you gotta have
For some of them, not all. We're
Yeah,
throwing the
that's
term
true.
women. Some women. Let's just clarify that. Some women
No,
like
that's
to be
if
in
I was a
control.
woman.
But even women know what women we're talking about. We're not saying all women.
Yeah.
But
I wanna
everybody
clarify
knows.
that.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify that. Not all women want to be in control.
And I actually think that most
Yeah.
women are like, I would never do that to a dude. But it's the narcissistic females.
yeah.
You know,
just
they
like men.
always talk about men as narcissists. But you've got just the same amount of narcissistic
Yeah,
females in the world. as you do have
it's a
narcissistic
human
men.
condition. It's
It
a
really
human
is.
condition. Yeah,
Well, you know, there are guys taking advantage of women, women are taking advantage of men. I don't think it has to be
yeah, it's not
generalized
gender.
to a sex.
Yeah, I agree.
But they're just shitty people that shouldn't be in the dating pool.
Yeah, this is
Well,
true.
yeah, that's the problem with a
This
lot of
is
things.
true.
All right, so my next one is just going to be Silvio Dante from The Sopranos
So
because
we're
I
going
think
back
we've
to
all
gangsters.
yeah.
Jerry's favorite gangsters.
Yeah. Going back to
We don't kill the baby mamas.
my most notable gangsters, my gangsteriest gangsters. Silvio Dante with the hair and everything.
Well, the thing with The Sopranos, we talked about The Shield with Cerise Castle. The Sopranos was the very first TV show that had anti-heroes.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the ones that.
And
yeah.
if you look at TV...
and you love them.
You root for the bad
Yes.
guy.
You
do.
You love these people so
Yeah,
much.
you're rooting for them. You
If
want everything to go.
And if you
Tony's
look
way.
at television now, it's modeled after The Sopranos.
Yeah.
Back in the day before The Sopranos, all the syndicated shows had 24 episodes a season.
Yeah, and think
Now
about
it's
it.
10 or 12.
The anti-hero gimmick even went to wrestling. Look at
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Stone Cold Steve Austin is the best example of that, dude. It's around the same time as
Black Adam,
Sopranos.
DC.
Yeah, Black Adam, dude. Same thing, dude. Fuck, I can't even. It's escaping me in comics. Lobo.
Yes.
Lobo, dude.
Or Peacemaker.
Biggest Peacemaker.
Peacemaker's an anti-hero.
Anti-hero. Lobo, dude. Lobo is just like, you root for him. He's got this meat hook. He's riding around on a big space chopper, and he's mauling people. But at the same time, you're like, dude, I love this guy.
The Sopranos revolutionized TV.
It did.
They revolutionized, the anti-hero. Because Tony Soprano turned into the Shield, Big Mackey, which was a real-life story, from the LASD gangs.
All right, so my next, it's another bullshit answer. I don't really have a real list, but has anyone's been watching
I'm so
Johnny Depp's surgical fucking ninja of a lawyer?
Maddie has.
The Latina,
Camille,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, she killed him.
Dude, she's fearless though.
Dude,
like
she
when I
sliced
say
up
gangster,
Amber Heard.
like she gives zero fucks. She's like, and can you not talk to my jury? Dude, she is surgical.
She owned it. But that's what Johnny Depp needed.
Yeah.
Because you've got a woman.
Yeah.
Okay, because the world is biased sometimes towards you want to go for the women that's crying. And the guys always, once you get back to the narcissist thing.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. But Amber Heard is, I think actually, but they're both narcissists. I really,
They are.
I really,
No, they
Yeah,
both are.
yeah.
I
No,
really believe they're both.
They're both scumbags.
They're both toxic as fuck
Yes.
Well, you have to be. You kind of
together. I
have to be
think
to
that
get
Johnny
to that
Depp
level.
with somebody else wouldn't be as toxic. I think Amber Heard
She said it.
probably never shit in Elon Musk's bed.
It's
It's-
really just my second marriage.
that
It's just two
joining.
completely
It was
fucked
that
up people
joining.
the perfect storm.
Yeah. No, it really
But
is.
the way that Johnny Depp, Camille, the way she handled it was she owned Amber Heard because she understood Amber Heard because she's a woman, And she was like, so where were you when Johnny Depp was doing this? Oh, well, I'm not sure. I don't know. Let me remind you. And then she played that video of Amber Heard getting in the elevator with, what's his, James
Franco. Yeah, he banged her.
And so, yeah, James Franco banged her. Elon Musk banged her.
Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash.
Which I popped hard for.
I popped hard.
Because who would have thought the big sexy NWO,
I know.
Kevin Nash,
I wanted to give him
involved.
a too sweet myself for that one, dude, because that's back.
But they were posting pictures on Twitter together.
I know.
And that was back when Johnny Depp was staying home trying to detox from all the drugs.
Yeah, he's just a drug head, man.
And that's his problem.
Yeah, he's big time on
You know
drugs.
what I mean? But that's another thing, you know, these narcissistic women, they see you have that problem.
And they exploit
it's
it.
It's easier for them to control.
Yes.
But it's the same thing with guys when a girl likes to do cocaine.
Yeah.
You know, like he was saying, we don't want to make it sexist, but controlling people will always find a way to control.
Right. Damaged people are looking to damage people.
But like,
It's true.
Who had Big Sexy on their card
No
in
one did.
2022?
No one did.
Like cheating Johnny Depp's marriage.
I know.
Just imagine that argument Johnny Depp had with Amber Heard when she got home.
Yeah.
Oh, so I'm over here detoxing, and I see you're out here with a pro fucking fake wrestler.
Yeah.
Because you know Johnny Depp, he's not.
Yeah, he don't care about
He don't
that
give a fuck
shit.
about wrestling with Kevin
No,
Nash.
dude, he only gives a fuck
You're
about himself.
out there with a fake wrestler. Oh baby, it wasn't like that. We're just friends.
Yeah.
We were in a movie. No, bitch, I saw you on Twitter. Because you know that's how that shit went down.
Oh, you know
it was
it
toxic
is.
as fuck. Because she didn't get home till 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
They actually published those text messages.
And what does that mean? Come on.
Yeah. And if you're big sexy Kevin Nash, you wanna hit Johnny Depp's girl.
Well, it keeps you relevant.
It keeps you validated.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It keeps
Like
you
if I
relevant.
could bang Johnny Depp's girl, like
Yeah.
if I could bang Johnny
It puts you-
Depp's
it
girl right
puts you
now, I
up
might
there.
do it.
Yeah, because it keeps you relevant. It's in the
Plus,
world
it's Johnny Depp.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's 21 Jump Street. It's fucking Edward Scissorhands. It's fucking Jack Sparrow.
It's everything iconic from when we were growing up till now.
Right. If anybody gives you instant notoriety, it's just kind of being just orbiting kind of a Johnny Depp story. Because I mean, the New World Order is the last thing that Kevin did that was that anyone gives a shit about.
No,
Kevin
since
Nash
the
has been
90s.
since
That-
actually,
90s was
I would
up
say
the last.
2003-ish.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna
But
say.
even then, it was fading away.
Yeah.
I mean, he did that one gimmick in WWE a little bit, but it
Because
was.
excuse me.
Yeah.
The NWO returned to WWE kind of
And that was bad. Yeah, it went out.
lasted
It
for a
fizzled
few
out.
months and died of mania.
Yeah, but that was one of the most epic manias.
Yeah,
ever.
with Hogan versus
Oh,
The
bro,
Rock.
that's one
But
of the
then
most
Stone
things-
Cold just killed Scott Hall.
Yeah. I
think
will
Kevin
say
Nash
that
is
stunner
actually-
Scott Hall took, though, is one of the best stunners I've ever seen in my life. When Scott Hall flew in the air.
Yeah.
You remember that? Like, that was amazing.
Scott Hall
sell
was
job.
really good at
Oh, I miss him.
And you know, earlier, like kind of off the air, we were talking about wrestling.
Yeah.
And like, I have this love and hate relationship with wrestling.
Yeah.
Like, I don't watch it on TV. I don't watch WWE. I don't watch AEW. I don't even actually follow like most wrestlers on social media. Just like my friends, like my brothers, like you or Jerry, all my brothers.
Yeah.
I follow Nate Slater. I follow Jesse Logan. And
$20 man fucks him up.
You know, I follow Estrella Galactica.
Yeah.
You know, he was my teacher, my trainer. You know what I mean? I follow Bob Murphy. I follow Jaime, who recently got hacked. Shout out to Jaime's old account.
Yeah.
But like, I have this this love and hate relationship with wrestling. Like, I don't.
I feel you on that, dude.
Because you see a lot of it. Like, you see these guys trying so hard on social media to generate a buzz.
It's so rough to watch.
Like,
on
there's
social
one
media.
guy, I'm not going to say his name.
Okay.
You know, I don't want to kill him.
Yeah.
But, like, there's one guy that literally spends all day, you know, if Chris Carter this, Chris Carter that. And he's dogging Chris Carter, but, like, not even Chris Carter's responding.
Yeah, that's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah, because Chris Carter's no selling your ass and you're still going
because
crazy.
if I'm working you and I'm like, fuck
Yeah.
you and this and that, and you're not even saying anything, like, it's just like,
The internet ruined
It killed
wrestling.
wrestling.
It killed it.
But Vince McMahon killed it first.
Vince McMahon
He
killed
started,
it first
he started
in the
the slow
90s.
death.
Yeah, he did, because he went the sports entertainment route, and once he did
Because
that,
he saved money on licensing.
yeah, that's why he did it. Because he's like, well, fuck it, we're just going to tell you right now, we're going to spill it all out here for you to.
But what kills me is these days, like these mugs will go and they'll cut like 5-minute promos.
Yeah.
With their iPhone.
Yeah.
Out their backyard or in their car, and it's just like, who watches them really?
No one.
Because I'll be honest. I mean, there might be fans that do. And I'll admit, I'm not pro wrestling.
Don't get me wrong,
Mr. Like pro wrestling. I just deal with what I have to work with.
I will admit, every now and then there's some pretty decent stuff, but it's few and far between. That's my problem with it. When you're cutting a promo in a car, just give it up. Just don't even, just hang up your phone. Don't do that ever
Make
again.
it creative.
Yeah, and there's some good stuff like Jay Davis right now.
I like Jay Davis.
Dude, what Jay
I've
Davis...
always put over Jay Davis.
Oh, dude, I love Jay Davis. Like, what he's doing right now with the Loko...
That's why I like the people Loko uses.
It's smart.
They're charismatic.
And it's smart the way they do it.
They can make you feel a thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Kiefer Bartek and Sammy.
Kiefer Bartek coming out and walking around the ring was the thickest heat I've felt in decades. That was amazing.
To a neon boom.
I've never felt a room love someone more than they love Sam Stackhouse.
Oh, bro.
On that night,
I will break it down to you.
That's a correct.
When Sam Stackhouse showed up,
he's the Houston, Texas fucking Dusty Rhodes.
When Sam Stackhouse showed up for GCW versus Loko, the first one, the first show, I remember seeing that guy because I always get early. I get in before everybody else because I'm a sponsor, and.
Ryan Shaw got to put himself over.
Yeah. So I get in because
sponsored by Cartoon U.
Sponsored by Cartoon U.
So because I'm a sponsor, I get the early access and I get to see the guys, warm up and all that stuff, and I get to talk to everybody. But I saw Stackhouse and I was like, "Who is this guy? Damn, he's big."
The looks of him, you wouldn't be impressed.
No, that's the thing.
But the athleticism.
Oh my God! When he gets in there,
I saw a video the other day of him doing like this flip off the rope.
I know, that's what I was getting to. It's crazy because I had no clue who he was. I was just like, damn, that dude's like in the ring doing whatever, walking around. I thought he was just.
You look at him and he's just a big dude.
I love him because he's so nice to me. He's always putting me over. He is. He's one of the nicest guys in wrestling, and I thought he was just like security or something. I didn't know. And then when he had that match, I don't even remember who it was against, and when he hit that moonsault off the second turnbuckle,
dude, that's a pop.
When he hit that moonsault, dude, that was the loudest pop of the night, dude. And that was a badass show.
The people love Sam Stack.
Yes, he's a man of the people.
He knows his niche. He found like the weed crowd.
He figured it out.
Which Loko provides you that 420 crowd.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not trying to offend anybody, but he figured out his niche.
He did.
And he knows how to fucking work it.
Yeah.
Like I really like Sam Stackhouse.
Me too.
Right now he's kind of the Dusty Rhodes of Houston.
He is.
Honestly.
It's true.
He really is. And you look at him.
Yeah.
The way he talks. The way he cut. He's not the promo guys we were talking shit about. Because his shit is original.
You know what it is? It's down to earth.
Exactly.
It's like a guy.
He's the guy you want to drink beer with.
It's Dusty
He
Rhodes.
is the guy you want to drink beer with in your garage. Yeah.
I cannot identify with a guy that's trying to cut a promo with an iPhone. I'm going to beat your ass Friday night.
Right.
September 19th in a ladder match.
Because those are bullet points.
That's what the fucking Mark promo guys do.
I know.
Right.
Trust me, I know.
Do it and do it right. He does it right.
He does.
Kiefer Bartek does it right. You know what I mean? Like, Loko Wrestling has guys that do it right. The great ones do it right. I really like the great one promos.
Great ones are fun.
Right. Because they're comedy based, which is something
they're comedy based.
We do.
Yeah, but what they do is their shit's original. It's always original.
Exactly.
It's always funny.
It's not something that's been done 30 times.
No, it's always something. It's like they'll cut a promo on a pizza box. They'll do it's funny.
You know what really kills me is these guys that pretend to hate each other on Facebook.
I know.
But they're friends on Facebook.
Yeah.
Like if I get mad at you, Ryan Shaw, man, I'm a friend of that bitch.
Yeah.
I'm a friend of that bitch.
You know another
I'm a friend of Jerry Fuss right now.
Here's another thing I don't like about modern wrestling because the internet destroyed it.
They use it too.
Is they're friends with each other still on social media, and then on top of that, they congratulate each other. After I'm like, dude, you're supposed to hate each other. Like, what happened?
You know who was really bad about it? There was a guy, David Starr.
Oh, yeah, what happened to that
And
guy,
David Starr would always and David Starr had a relationship with the chick. It was a toxic relationship, just like, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. He's retired now.
Oh, okay, because I remember...
Well, I don't know. I don't pay attention.
I used to see him all over your stuff. Like
David
Starr.
I don't know, but then he accused me of bullying, too.
Oh, speaking out.
Yeah, he tried to speak out on me.
Damn.
Yeah, but my thing, like he would be like, the wrestling's not kayfabe, and we need to be more kayfabe.
Sweet Jesus.
And then he would have a match. I want to thank Lance Archer for chopping me so hard.
No,
he taught me so much.
Oh, you keep that in your head.
If Jerry Flitz chopped me hard, I'd want to kick his fucking ass.
Stop fluffing the dude.
Exactly. But that's what these modern day wrestlers do. Not all of them. There's a lot of really good people out there.
There's good people, man.
Like, I love Loko Wrestling. I love Kenny Calypso. I love Chris Carter.
Yeah.
I love Estrella Galactica.
You know who I love a lot?
Nate Slater.
Johnny Blade.
I like Johnny Blade. Johnny Blade's like a throwback to the old school manager.
Yes, and that's what I love about him.
He's like...
He's so good at it, dude.
We talked about Sam Stackhouse being Dusty Rhodes. But Johnny Blade is like Bobby Heenan.
Oh,
yes.
Great.
Dude, Johnny Blade,
the original heel man.
Whenever I go to a UPW show, he'll
the best
know
part.
it.
He's the best part.
He is, because I study Johnny Blade because Johnny Blade is what I wish I could have become if I was younger. I waited too long. I wish I was like 20 years ago. I would have tried to go into school and be a manager. That dude, he has it. He's like the last remnants of the old school manager. He is.
Yeah, Johnny Blade.
He's quick-witted.
He's a good manager. He would always pop me. Like, I don't want to kill kayfabe too much. Kayfabe's already dead.
It's been dead. Yeah, it's over.
But like fucking Johnny Blade would make me he'd be talking crap to me.
Yeah.
And I would literally have to fight back the laugh.
Bro, that's what I do every show when I go to UPW. I have to, and then what? Here I'm putting myself over again, but he'll cut little.
Ryan Shaw's the biggest mark for himself.
I am right now. But when I pop every time, he'll cut a little mini promo on me on the side of the ring, like just talking shit about me, about my drawing and all. It's funny, dude. He's just that old school '80s manager, like Bobby the Brain's a great example.
Johnny Blade is the best manager in town.
He is. Sorry, Nastico.
A close second is Nastico.
Nastico's great.
I like Nastico.
No, the reason Johnny Blade has that body of work. Nastico's coming right up, but Johnny Blade
goes back to Texas.
That's what I'm saying.
Where I came from.
Yeah, the original.
A lot of guys in Texas come from Texas also.
Yeah, dude.
Like that's where I came out of.
Mid-90s, so was Johnny.
When you go to Texas All-Star Wrestling School, it's not bullshit.
Yeah.
Like it's not like the Lucha School where you got to do this. Like Texas All-Star Wrestling, they literally prepare you to work in pro wrestling. They're gonna make you do your cardio. Like I had to go. Okay, you got a wrestling ring. We're gonna pretend like our viewers can see a square. I literally had to roll 1, 2, 3. We're going to the next side. 1, 2, 3, 4. The next side. 1, 2. You're rolling around this ring.
Dude.
And after you roll around that ring, all the way around, you got to roll around all the way around. Then you got to roll across the ring. You got to do 2 flips, a jump, and then a backflip. You don't get through wrestling school unless you really want it, which is how they designed it back in the day.
Yep.
Nowadays it's different.
Well,
Because guys get away with it, you know what I mean? But back like when I was coming up, like in the TSW wrestling school, like so many people came, so many people left. Like actually when I started, there was only 2 people that actually graduated from that year that I started.
Wow,
Maybe
you were
3,
one of them.
Maybe 3. I was one of them.
Yeah.
Because I just did it.
Yeah.
And I wish I was still in that good a shape.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like I wish I was 31 right now instead of 41 because I probably would have done that if that's what like at that point in my life I wasn't.
It's just all
ready.
about opportunity.
Yeah, and I just wasn't there for it.
It's like
I had a shitty job.
You've
back
got
then.
a blessed opportunity that might be coming your way.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
We all get opportunities, but it's all about the place and the time.
Exactly.
You have to be in the place in that time.
Yeah.
For me, getting into TSW wrestling school, my mom used to take me to those shows when I was 16. And so me and my little brother would go. And they did it in Humble, right by Little Mexico, in the bingo hall. And then when I had Poet and Maddie, when they were old enough to kind of carouse about with me, I took them then to that show. And then, you know, we went to the flea market off I-45.
Yeah.
And then it was actually Pedro Ortega, lowrider. You know, he was like, we don't have this ref for a midget show. Be the ref. And so I was the ref for Pedro's midget show.
I love lowrider.
And then Bob Murphy was like, we've already done it. You know, let's talk about it. And, you know, I paid my dues. You know, wrestling school ain't free. You got to pay for it. Nothing's free in life.
Yeah.
You know what
true.
I mean? But
it's true.
You have to pay, but then you have to physically, like... TSW didn't play around. Like, they killed me, bro.
Yeah.
Well, after the first week, I just didn't even want to move.
Yeah.
I'd been punched.
There's no way I could do that now, dude. If it was 10 years ago, maybe. But not now, dude. There's no way I could do that now. I'm fucking old as fuck.
You can't discount yourself.
Yeah.
You cannot discount.
Yeah, that's true. That's
and
true.
you never can say never.
That's true.
Because
that's
we
true.
all have things that we can do.
You're right. You're right.
It's just that we don't have the want to do.
You're right.
And on that note, we'll see you next time. Special thanks to Cerise Castle, who was our special guest tonight. We want to thank Jerry Futch, the Oracle.
Thank you,
Ryan
Cerise.
Shaw, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, I'm going to put myself over next episode, too.
Yeah, you always do. And this is Thomas the Hitman Barnes. This is Cheap Pops Radio, coming at you live from the Cheap Pops studio apartment in Tomball, Texas. Sponsored by JMT Shirts, Loko Wrasslin, and Cartoon.
Keep it gangster.
Live your life within the moment, and don't go wait until the morning. You never know when it is over. All that I know is we'll get older. So let us dance this night away. To the groove and the light that flickers. We get lost in the crowd, it's getting thicker. We get away from the drinks and chatter. Haven't said a word, but it doesn't matter. Feel the air get thinner. I'm standing in a blurry dream. No one else can see us. Live your life within the moment. And don't go wait until the morning. You never know when it is over. All that I know is we'll get older. So let us dance this night away. I'm standing in a blurry dream. No one else can see us. So let us dance this night away. And we'll dance the
and gentlemen, thank you for listening to Cheap Pops Radio, sponsored by JMT Shirts and Cartoon U. Be sure to follow us on all social media platforms at Cheap Pops Radio, and you can reach us at cheappopsradio@gmail.com for anything you'd like to know about Cheap Pops Radio and Cheap Pops Coast to Coast.